Well, less than 24 hours from now, a military judge will read the verdict in the court-martial of the Army First Class, I should say the Private First Class Bradley Manning. The government accuses Bradley Manning of the biggest leak of classified information in the history of this country, claiming that he handed over 700,000 classified military and diplomatic cables to the whistleblower website WikiLeaks. His defense team does not deny that he gave up the sensitive information, but it argues he was simply young and naive. He already faces up to 20 years in prison for pleading guilty in February to lesser charges. But now the judge will rule on the most serious of them all, aiding the enemy. And that decision could put away Manning for the rest of his life. Catherine Herridge live in D.C. The judge has to determine whether Manning acted with general evil intent.
Well, that's right, Shepard. The prosecutor must meet the standard under the military statute. And in very simple terms, for a layperson, it suggests the military must show Manning acted maliciously and with knowledge and intent to help the enemy. In the closing arguments, the prosecutor saying Manning, we've got some video here from him leaving court on Friday, is not a hacker. He is not a troubled young soul. He is a determined soldier with the ability, armed with secret documents, to harm the United States. The defense argued that no evidence was ever presented that showed Manning's intent. It was only inferred in the case, Shepard.
What's the fallout here, Catherine?
Well, the expectation is that Colonel Denise Lind, the judge in the case, would need over the weekend for her deliberations, and that the case would not be in front of a jury, and that was apparently Manning's decision. Lind is deciding whether Manning knew the leak of the documents would end up with Al-Qaeda. And it's hard not to look at this case without looking at the other big leak case, which is the Snowden case. And analysts say that in both of these cases, the damage seems to be twofold. It makes our allies and potential allies reluctant to share information with the U.S. in the future because it may be leaked. And second, it reveals some sources and methods, and for those reasons, the damage is hard to undo. In the case of Snowden, we heard recently from the head of the NSA that terrorists, he says, are already changing their practices. And we will be in court for that verdict tomorrow. Could be quite lengthy and emotional for Bradley Manning, Shepard.
Expecting it will. Catherine Herridge, thank you.
You're welcome.
With us now, the Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. The Manning camp is claiming, yes, he did this.
Right.
But he didn't have any way of knowing Al-Qaeda might go to WikiLeaks.
Well, it's actually a little bit more than that. The government has to prove that he did this with the intention of harming the United States, not that the harm to the United States was a byproduct of what he did, but that he intentionally caused this harm. So if, for example, the government is unable to persuade the judge of that, and she believes he did it because he was naive, or because he wasn't naive, because it was a whistleblower, and he wanted to embarrass the government into conforming its behavior to the laws it has sworn to uphold, then he's not guilty. Of course, not guilty still means he has to face 20 years to the crimes for which he has already pleaded guilty. The essence of the crime here is with an evil mind intending to harm the United States of America. Now, normally, a verdict is guilty or not guilty, except when the judge has to deliver the verdict. And judges, for all that we do not enjoy replacing juries. She, instead of saying guilty or not guilty, has spent the weekend writing out a lengthy, here's why he was, fill in the blank, guilty or not guilty. That's how we know it's going to come 1 o'clock tomorrow, Eastern Time. That's how we know that she's going to read the opinion. She will literally read it to the public and to Catherine and whenever other reporters are in her courtroom.
It was never thought really widely that reaching this level of proof was going to be an easy thing to do. No, because you have to get inside his head. The whole issue is, what did he intend to do? Now, you can ask that intent be inferred from his behavior, from general knowledge that, don't you think that if WikiLeaks exposed this, Al-Qaeda would get it? Don't you think that Al-Qaeda would harm us? But again, she has to believe, the judge, beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty, that this was his intent and not something else. If something else was his intent, even something naive like, I'm going to change the government by exposing them, then he's not guilty. He has a lot of followers and a lot of supporters.
He has followers and supporters from amongst the small government folks who believe that we were wrong to fight these wars, that we were wrong to torture, that we were wrong to kill civilians, and that even having fought the wars and spent $2 trillion and caused the deaths that we did, things are just as bad now as they were, and the government should be shamed into acknowledging acknowledging that. The government had actually denied that certain events occurred, which, when these documents that he released became public, showed that the government was not telling the truth. Will the government change its ways? Probably not.
Probably regardless of what happens here.
Regardless of the outcome, I would think so. This outcome is about him. Does he spend more than 20 years in jail, or will he be free when he fulfills the term that he's already agreed to?
It'll be interesting someday for children and grandchildren to learn how history reflects on this incident.
Yes. I mean, he could be proven 20 years from now a monster, or he could be proven 20 years from now that he was right.
Judge, thank you.